I got into the whole drugs and alcohol scene through having some identity issues. I wanted to fit in with the cool crowd, and that's just what they were doing. They were going to the clubs and they were going to the parties, and whoever was the wildest or craziest on the weekend was the person that was spoken about most when we met on Monday mornings. And so I really just wanted to be that person. I wanted everyone to share my story. And so I started going out and putting myself into more and more compromising positions. Whatever the coolest guy was drinking, I was going to have twice as much, or whatever the new drug was, I was going to try that, and I was going to have more than anyone else. I remember one night in particular on my 18th birthday where I decided that I was going to go all out so that when I got to school on Monday, everyone would be talking about me. I remember taking 18 shots of vodka because it was my 18th birthday, and then going off and doing a whole bunch of drugs with my friends. I got home that night and threw up everywhere. I completely blacked out, and I remember going to speak to my mom the next day, and she refused to speak to me at all because she was so disappointed with what I'd done and who I was becoming. When my mom actually started speaking to me again, the only thing that she had to say to me was that I turned out to be exactly like my father, who was a bit of an absent figure in my life. That was a moment that I don't think I'd ever be able to forget, a moment where I probably felt my lowest and really began to question who I was and what I was doing and who these people were that I was surrounding myself with at the time. I started going to church because a pretty girl that I knew started going, and she had invited me along. And I figured that if I went to the same places and spaces that she was at, that she might like me, or I might have a shot of getting with her. And so that's how I ended up at youth for the first time. I definitely thought I was too cool for youth, and I was much cooler than everyone who was there that night. And so I soon decided that I wasn't going to be going back. However, I did build a bit of a friendship with the youth leader that evening. And over the weeks to come, he began to message me and invite me back to youth. I came up with whatever excuse I could to get out of the situation, and this became a bit of a recurring pattern where he would invite me back every Friday night, and I would come up with whatever lame excuse just to get out of the situation. This went on for about 6 months until one night he messaged me inviting me, and I said that I didn't have a lift there or back from youth, and so I couldn't go. He told me that he was outside my gate and that I actually had no option, that he was going to take me whether I had a lift or not. And so I got in the car, I went to youth, and that night I gave my heart to Jesus, and things began to change. I was no longer the same person. I started to change the crowd that I allowed to surround me. I gave up on drugs and alcohol, and my whole lifestyle began to change entirely, so much so that my mom actually began to take notice, and through my life changing, our relationship was slowly restored. My mom and I started going to church together, and that became real bonding time for us. And we decided that we'd get baptized together as well. So on a sunny September morning that year, we got baptized, and it's such a special memory that we now have with one another. I actually found the girl of my dreams at church, and we recently got married. Since then, we've moved across the world into Auckland, New Zealand, and planted ourselves into a great local church. We're really excited for what we have in store, and we're not too worried about what's coming our way because we know that God has us in His hands, and He has us covered in all things that we're going to put our hands to.
Keep watching incredible stories of people just like these on impactforlife.tv.